Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we're going to be talking about Small World.
Alright, so Small World. This is where you're going to a store and you are meeting someone that you're not used to seeing on a regular basis. You're like, oh, you're here too? What a small world.
Nobody's at a store.
This is true. No one's at a store right now. So this is more like a civilization game. You have these different races of people that are all kind of coming together in this world, but there's not enough room for everybody. So you have to end up fighting for your territory. It's got an area control element to it, and that's why it's a small world. It's because there's not enough room for everybody.
It's a world of slaughter, after all.
Oh yeah. Let me show you what it looks like. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to shuffle up the player races and the player abilities, the player powers. We're going to put about 5 randomly out of those and 5 randomly out of those. The first thing you're going to do on your turn is you're going to select one of these 5 available races. The very bottom one is going to be free, but for everyone on top of that you want to skip, you have to pay one of these coins. So let's say we really wanted the heroic Ratman for some reason. We could put $1 there, $1 there, $1 there, whoops. And we can take the heroic Ratman. Each race combination is going to tell us a couple different things. So first we're going to learn about how many different characters we're going to get. So we have 5 over here and 8 over here. So we're going to get 13 Ratmen. So we go to our little holder here, we pluck out 13 of that individual kind of race that we're going for. Your power is going to give you an ability. In this case, the heroic is going to give us 2 of these little heroic tokens. That's going to give us some defense once we're on the board. And then each race also has an ability. In this case, the Ratmen don't really have an ability. Their ability is, there's just a ton of them. Like most people, you can see over here we have 5 or 6 different people, and they have abilities built onto them. The Ratmen have 8, so everything kind of balances out in that way. Every player is going to get the chance to grab one of these combinations, and if they select one of the ones that has money on it, they get that money as well. So now that we have our characters, let's go to the board. We have a round tracker up here, so in a 2-player game, which is what I have it set up for, we're going to play 10 rounds. There are actually 4 different boards, a 2-player, a 3-player, a 4-player, and a 5-player board. So that way, no matter what player count you're playing with, it's kind of balanced and equal. There are also these little mountain tiles on the board. These kind of give those spots a little extra defense, and they're a little bit harder to attack. But just because we're the first player does not necessarily mean that we're not facing anybody. In a 2-player game especially, you are facing up against these lost tribes, so they're going to be on the board as well. Bam! So now we've got some competition. Alright, so we have to enter the board from one of the borders. So let's say we go here. It takes 2 people to conquer a region, plus 1 more piece for every piece of cardboard on that tile. So for instance, if we wanted to conquer this piece here that has one of the lost tribes in it, it would take 3 of the tiles. 2 like normal, plus 1 extra. And then we boot them out. We'd go over here with 3 guys, booting this guy out. And then we could go over here on top of this mountain range. Again, that's going to take 3 because 2 plus the 1 for the mountain. Alright, so we've got 2 guys left. We could go over here and take that over. But we can also, let's say we go over here. There is a guy there, so we wouldn't normally be able to take that over. However, on your last placement of your round, you get to roll this dice. There's 1, 2, or 3 extra chits on it. So you roll it. In this case, it says we have 3 imaginary guys there. So that is enough to take that over. At the end of the turn, you get a chance to kind of reallocate your troops. Let's say, because we know the mountains are fortified already, we don't want to put all our guys there. We want to put some extras over here. And you can move things around, protect the parts of the board that you want to protect. In addition, because we are the heroic Ratmen, we also get to place 2 of those heroic tokens on the board. It's going to protect those spots and make them so that no one else can attack them. The last thing we do before our turn ends is we count up how many different spots on the board we are, and we take that much money from the bank. So currently we are in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. We would take 5 of those coins from the bank, and that's how much points we made that turn. But, similar to how we went to the board and captured a lot of the regions that were already occupied by those tribes, people are going to come behind us, and they're going to take over the land that we had just captured. So your next turn, you have a decision to make. Are you going to stay with your heroic Ratman, or are you going to go into decline? When you go into decline, you flip over your piece. You basically have to spend a whole round of not doing anything. You take every piece of yours off the board, only leaving 1 behind in each area that you occupy. Similar to how the tribe was before we got there. At the end of a turn of going into decline, you still get all of the tokens from all the different regions that you can control on the board. But the nice thing is, on your very next turn, you get to choose a whole new combination of a race and a power. You start on the board the same way, coming in from an edge, but this time, at the end of your turn, you get to count up both your in-decline race and your active race. Keep an eye on the different player powers. In addition to getting coins from being in control of regions, some other powers might give you points for things like being in certain regions of the board, or for attacking people, or for even being peace-loving in some of the expansions. So there's other ways to earn points besides just taking over regions. Once the round marker has moved all the way to the 10 spot, everyone finishes that round, and at the end of that round, whoever has the most points wins.
So this game has a lot of interaction with it. It has to. It's very attacky.
Attacky is not a word.
It's very, very attacky. But that's fun, and I like it. And one of the things that's makes it easier, I guess, is that you're not even mad when somebody's attacking you because they're attacking them too, and then you're going to attack them and attack them as well. So it doesn't matter. Everybody gets attacked equally.
I really enjoyed the different combinations of races and player powers that come out. Boy, there's some weird, wild combinations come out. You might have like a merchant skeleton, which doesn't make any sense, or a seafaring giant, or whatever it is. It's really fun to see those character combinations come out, and the ones you really go for, and there's ones you avoid sometimes, and it's a lot of fun.
It's also like endlessly expandable. We already have 3 expansions and they seamlessly fit in. You just get more traits or characters, and you get more races, and then you just combine those and it just keeps on going and going and going. We already have 3 of the expansions. There's just so many.
Yeah. I like the flow of the game, just like how in regular civilizations go through declines. Your civilizations have to go through declines so you can get another one. And it's not, you have to kind of spend that turn, which kind of stinks, just resting or whatever. But at the same time, it's not about that. It's about the tug of war and the balance of, should I hang on for one more turn as that race, as my main race, before I switch over to this other race? And I like that kind of that decision making that you have to do in this game.
There's not a lot of different actions that you can do. You can either like get a new race, go into decline, expand your race. Is that like all you can do?
Yeah, attack, keep going, attack some more, or go into decline.
Yeah, because of that, I think this game is actually really easy to teach. I base things on being easy to teach whether or not I would be comfortable teaching them, and I would actually feel comfortable teaching this. I'd have to reference the rule books to what the different abilities are, but I feel like I could teach this game, and that's how I know it's easy to teach.
I know I talked about the player powers being fun and interesting, but also be aware that there are those kinds of, I hate the word broken in games, but there's some broken combinations, that are just very, very overpowered as compared to maybe some other ones are completely underpowered. But that's the nature of an asynchronously powered game, especially when you're mixing and matching 2 different powers, with the race and then the power itself.
And they try their best to balance those with how many people you get.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The stronger the power, the less people you have to work with. But there are those combinations that are just incredible. So something to watch out for. But then it's such a lighthearted, fun game that you see those combinations, you don't get them, and it's a bummer, and you just keep on playing, whatever. It's fun.
I do think that this game isn't as great 2-player. It's not that it's bad, it's just there's so many games that play great as 2-player that this is not one that I would choose for a 2-player game. It's really fun at 3 and 4-player. I just don't think it highlights it too. Yeah,
it does give you extra boards. 2-player board and a 3-player board are on opposite sides of the same board.
Yeah.
And the 4 and the 5-player boards are opposite sides of the same board as well. So that's kind of nice. It gives you a little bit of a balancing, but still, 3 to 4 is a sweet spot.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a fun one. I recommend it. It is on the older side, but that doesn't make it. It's still a very accessible area control game, which we don't have a lot of area control in our collection. Yeah. It's a little more aggressive than what we typically go for, but knowing that going into it, we have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, make sure to stay tuned to the very end for our pounds and inches update. Until then, you can always subscribe to us on YouTube under Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. You can follow us on Facebook under Ryan and Bethany. You can find us on Instagram under Ryan and Bethany. And then you can also chat with us on Twitter under Ryan and Bethany 1. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you so much for staying tuned to the very end for our Pounds and Inches update.
All right, so I like challenging myself in board games. I like challenging myself physically because I've got a lot of work to do on how to be a healthier person. And one of the things that we came up with as a combination is right now we've been playing a lot of games that we both enjoy. We like playing games that we can review. We like playing games with the kids. What we don't do is play games that Ryan loves. We haven't been playing a lot of games like Bethany just loves. Mm-hmm. It's always games that we both agree on or
I love.
Well, yeah, you win out usually because I love playing with you. But I am starting to challenge myself to where I'm going to go for a jog, and for every I don't know, I'm going to put a number on it, but for let's say every half mile or every mile or something like that I'm able to go for these jogs without injuring myself, being safe about it. I get to choose what game we play that night with no restrictions, no veto power, no co-deciding. She agreed to it before we recorded this.
I did. I'm just not looking forward to Agricola. Oh.
So I'm going to be training my butt off so I can play Agricola all the time.
Oh my god. You're going to make me play with all the extra cards, too.
Oh, yeah. So stay tuned for us to be talking about Agricola a whole bunch, because I'm going to be jogging a whole bunch. So we can play it a whole bunch.
Well, thank you so much for staying and watching our Pounds and Inches update. Remember, we have a blog on Board Game Geek under Pounds and Inches where we go more in depth about what we're doing and how we're doing it to achieve better health in our lives.
Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.